Everyone, thank you all so much for coming today. We have a very exciting panel. I'm thrilled to learn from them. I think we all are. But before we hear from our panel, we do have Heather from Gannon Properties here. She was gracious enough to bring us lunch. And if you weren't in the room a few minutes ago and you'd like to grab your lunch before the panel starts, please feel free. But with no further ado, Heather is here to tell us a little bit about her communities and what she has to offer. So you may come up here. Yes, please, ma'am. Come on over. People. Yeah, it's the content center. You may use a chair if you're more comfortable.
I'll sit here so I don't feel awkwardly moved. So I do represent Gammon Communities. We're a local builder group out of, we do Johnston, we do Lenore, we do Wayne. We just smile or be weird about this.
Yeah, be yourself.
No, that's weird. So we do a lot of spec homes. However, our spec homes are not tract builder quality spec homes, and we do ask that you guys walk these homes. I'm not here to bash anybody else. You buy what you can afford, you buy what you like. However, we want you to walk the quality of our homes. So I brought a magazine. We are going to do a quarterly magazine, so hopefully I'll be able to bring that by so you guys have access to it. In this magazine, you can see where our group builds. We have a lot of properties in the Wayne and Lenore because they make it just a little easier to build out there. Johnston County is getting crazy with things like water taps and all that. Just slow down growth, which is just fine. However, we do have a new neighborhood coming in Smithfield that's at the end of this magazine that we're really excited about. It's a little bit more elevated than a typical spec home neighborhood. So if you have clients that are looking for custom home properties, these are going to start about in the 500s, and we do have lots available. So if you have a client that has a plan that they're considering, we want you to bring it. In this magazine too, you'll find access to our Facebook, and there's a really fun event that we're hosting at the Blueprint Lab next Thursday. That's down in Vinson. That's where they project floor plans on the floor, and you can walk them. So you can see how big the house is, the layout of the house, if it works for you, and our builders will also be there. So the guys that are building these homes. So if you have clients, you can absolutely bring them to this event. If you have questions about any of our neighborhoods, please come and talk to these guys firsthand. What we want you to know, we are local, so we live here, we work here, we play here. We are open. So I'm doing my grassroots thing so that you feel comfortable talking to me. I will never feel comfortable talking to you guys because I'm awkward and that's just who I am in life. But I want you to be able to ask me questions about the homes we have coming. I want you to know that you have direct contact with the builder. So if you have any questions, you want to change something in a floor plan, you want builders to build on your lot, we are available for you guys. And that may be it. Take a look at, oh no, our Build It Your Way. That's the most fun part of what we have going. We want to push pre-sales because if you notice in builder homes, we pick white cabinets, white countertops, or gray, and it's so boring. We have a Build It Your Way program that we have a ton of options. We have 2 showrooms, one in Princeton, one in Kinston. So when you have a client that pre-sales a home, they get to go pick all of that stuff out. You can pick your exterior colors, your exterior finishes. You can pick cabinets, flooring, knobs, whatever you want. Pick that stuff out. And our standard selections are easily swappable, so that doesn't increase the price of the home. Obviously, if your client's upgrading from like a quartz to a marble countertop, that's going to increase the price a smidge, but those options are available for people that want. We think our standard quality is A+. We're really proud of the products that we build. So it's a good house that's meant to last the lifetime of your client. So we're not ashamed of our spec quality homes. And again, if you walk it, you'll see. But the QR codes in here, you guys should be able to walk through some stuff. Our website is getting messed with right now as I speak because it's the worst timing in the world. So if you go to it and it says like 4 and 4, just give it a few minutes. But again, please go to our Facebook and RSVP to this event because if you've never done the Blueprint Lab or met our builders, then that's something you actually, if you have met our builders, just come hang out with them. They're equally as awkward as I am, so it's always a fun encounter when you're with uncomfortable people. At this event too, we are giving out like some spa packages to people that come, but your client can also, you don't have to register to win. We have little envelopes. You take an envelope when you leave. Your client can win things like a TV, a Blackstone, a pot filler as an upgrade, just a couple little things that they may want in their custom home. But we want you to meet our builders. So if your client wants something that you think is a little off the wall, talk to our builders about it so that we can make that concession and your client gets the home that they want. This magazine speaks for itself, so I don't have to keep talking. So
Any standard features in there, or we can access them via the QR code?
there are a couple. So like in our Build It Your Way page, there are a few. It gives a little blip on like what our Build It Your Way means. And we have 3 levels. So like the classic, select, and reserve.
Okay.
Like our Smithville is going to be the reserve level, the more higher end.
Okay.
Finishes in the homes. But yes, the QR codes lead you right back to much more information than I'm going to stutter.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
And they are by the door. So please. And Tammy, do you have if you want a direct text RSVP, you have that, right? Because Jen sent it to you yesterday. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm only asking you to RSVP to this event to make sure I have enough food. If you don't RSVP and you still show up, that's just fine. I always have way too much food. So it's fine. But talk to Tammy or grab a book and scan QR codes. Everybody loves those. So thank you for your time.
We appreciate you.
I really love it. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day, Heather. Appreciate you.
You did a great job. Okay. Next up, I would like to introduce our panel. As I said, we've got 3 panelists today. We have the lovely Wendy Huff from Huff Properties. Hello, Wendy. And then we have Nikki, and is it Munilla or Painter or both?
It's whatever you want to call me.
Munilla Painter, and she's with the Tammy Register team. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Amie Williams with the Anna Powell team. And as I said, today's panel is kind of designed, as you all know, the Raleigh market, the market probably in the country, has pretty much stabilized itself. Is there anybody here who thinks we're probably in fairly normal market? Mm-hmm. Sort of look, you and I are the only ones that raised our hand. I think
the people are not normal. The market.
That's it.
And that's part of what we'll talk about today are some ideas of the not normal people. So before we actually get into the meats and potatoes, I do just want to make sure everybody knows that this is not about old versus new. My whole goal in this is that we've seen a shift, right? Does everybody agree we've seen a shift in the last couple of years, right? So that means we have to change the way we do business. For someone like Amie or myself or Tammy, been in the business a long time, we see these shifts coming. We know they're going to happen and we prepare ourselves ahead of time. But it's occurred to us that if you're newer in the market, you may not realize that this happens and that you have to adapt as well. So I brought you guys in to tell us, as newer or more experienced agents, what are you doing in this market? So what I'd like to start with, and we can start, Wendy, do you mind starting? Okay. What is one belief or habit that you've had to unlearn to stay successful in today's triangle market?
When I came in as a real estate agent was during COVID. So you were lucky if you got to show a house because it was under contract so quick. They were flying off the shelf. So really quickly, I had to unlearn doing the research of the house before you go. Because before, if your client said we wanted to go, if you didn't get them there or find somebody to get them there, it was gone. So just doing the research on the house. Okay. So that's launch it real quick.
Are you saying that during COVID, we didn't have time to do that research and we were just taking people to show houses and filling the house?
The research, but we were doing it like in the car or as we were in the house. Right. We were still doing the research, but we didn't pre-do it before we went. Yeah. It might be, hey, there's a house down the street that just hit yesterday. Can we go see? Yes. And as you're driving, you're
gathering together what you can in a clinch without taking your due diligence ahead of time. Good, really good point. And I neglected to sort of ask you guys to say a little about yourselves. How long have you said you got in the business during COVID?
Yep.
2021. 2021. Mm-hmm. And what about you?
2022, I got my real estate license and joined the Tammy Register team. So I just missed it and I came when it went sideways and down. Okay. So for me, that's why I have the cheat sheet.
No worries. No worries. That's why you're here. We want to hear from you. Amie, how about you?
I'm a dinosaur. 2002.
All right. Well, you got me. I'm 2006. God bless you. You
got conflict that, but that was a tough market to get in.
Yeah, I bet.
.coms went .bomb, and so it was really hard to get in at that point.
Wow. Okay.
You have to print map quests to your houses?
Oh, I had them, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I got when I got in, I remember the year I got in, I asked my husband for a GPS for Christmas because I got my license in September and I said, I think I'm gonna need this. And that's when you had like the Garmin or the other one and you attached it to the dashboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We had MLS books, like you.
Oh, I heard about
often,
the book.
You had a book.
Heard
You
about
actually
the
got
book.
the combos, you know, the technology. we have
Yeah.
Today. It was great.
Well, if you know me at all and you've been around me in the last couple of months, you know that I'm all like, I'm suddenly anti-technology sort of
That's
because
healthy.
I feel like we have to slow down to speed up. That's a class for a later date. You'll hear about it because I'm in the process of working on that one. But Amie, can you answer that question for us? What is one belief or habit that you've had to learn, unlearn to be
Your
successful?
mindset. You have to, you go through these changes in the market where you think you were doing well and all of a sudden you're not. You have to keep your mindset right where it is. And you do have to adapt to the change and what's going on in the market. So you have to always think, well, it's not me, it's the market, and I have to adapt and change the way I'm doing my business today. So it's a real mindset. It's really a lot about mindset. Because you can get down on yourself very quickly.
And being in the business, if my quick math is correct, 24-ish years.
Yeah.
How many times would you say you've had to do that?
24 times.
Yeah, 24. Yeah. Yeah. And some happens quick. Like the COVID happened, at a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But when we saw like the recession of 2008, 9, and 10, that kind of happened slowly.
Yeah.
And so you had to, that shift was a little slower. And then coming into the market that we're in today, we're coming in, it dove quick. I mean, we went up quick in COVID, down quick, and now we're slowly coming back to, again, a normal market, which I know a lot of people that have been in only 5 years don't understand it.
Yeah. And that brings me to another question of all of you. Do you mind raising your hand if you heard somewhere before now or before this market that it was going to do this? Did you guys know that coming in?
Yeah, I much.
Okay, so we heard this, but now we're experiencing it, right? And it's a whole different ballgame. So at least you had heard it. I'm thankful that you had heard it. Okay, you got in 2022.
I did.
That was a tough time to get into because I remember May. I think it was May of 2022 where the rates went.
I always have a great idea, but it's at the wrong time.
Look, I was licensed in fall of 06 and it fell in 07. I'm with you. We're kindred spirits.
I'm okay with that because I think it forced me to learn really good habits in a hard market. And I think to answer this question, one way that I think I've had to adapt was I service my clients sometimes maybe too high, but at a very high level. Jackson's had to talk to me about having boundaries with them. So I expect everyone around me and around them, kind of like a mama bear, to do the same thing. And I actually just learned this lesson yesterday that doesn't always happen. And instead of not regulating my emotion, bridge the gap. And I think that's what gets you to the closing table is learning how to bridge that gap and not just stomping your foot and saying, but they should have done that. It's what am I going to do to get us to the closing table, even if I have to do their job. So, and then being the realtor that you want to work with was another big one for me because I think nowadays it's so hard to get to the closing table. That part of that offer that comes in is also who's bringing that offer and are they going to be able to work well with you to get them to the closing table versus putting up roadblocks the whole way.
Yes.
So in your first 4 years, you've learned a very valuable lesson. I think Amie and I are both over here nodding our heads. And anybody who's been in this business for a while, how important are your past clients? Amie and I were talking about this before anybody else came in the room. Our past clients are our gold. And here's the really cool part. I just had my client appreciation on Monday and I had one person say, "Oh, I'm the problem child." And I looked at her, I said, "No, the problem children don't get invited to my party." And you're not a problem child, I promise. But they are very, very important. So kudos to you for learning that value and also learning how to work with others. Because I can tell you that in my years, and I'm sure Amie can say the same, I have both encouraged my clients to choose one offer. Encouraged, obviously we can't do anything other, but I can say that I've worked with this agent and they have integrity. They are good to work with. They are not going to be my experiences. They're not going to beat you up all over the place. That goes a long, long, long ways versus the person who I only have a small handful that I would say, you're going to have to get another agent. I'm not working with them. So anyway, thank you very much. Those are all really, really, really great answers. Moving on to the second. what broke in the triangle market? What worked consistently in 2020, 2022 that no longer works? Amie? Amie?
Oh, that's okay. During COVID, you had to be very reactive in that market. I mean, you get a phone call, you had to react right away. In this market today, you got to be proactive. I think those are the two major things.
Reactive versus proactive
Yeah.
in that market.
I think it's like when you take the fact that like you get 10 phone calls, 9 of them were either going to sell or buy. And in this market here, out of 100 phone calls, maybe 10. So it's gone from a high turn, the ratio has been high. So now you got to be more proactive in how you're going to handle any leads or any clients or any sellers or any buyers. Whereas before it was just reacted. You reacted to whatever came at you.
Would you say during COVID that we were more order takers? Only because we had to be.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to be much more. I'm not saying we were only order takers, but we were more order takers than we are now.
Well, and I think we saw things that I was flabbergasted, like, $100,000 due diligence or 50,000, like, oh my gosh, it was very, it was like, I would have never done that, so it was a very different now, today it's, you're educating your clients, you're educating your sellers, you're educating your buyers, you're very proactive. You have to be very proactive. You have to educate in this market too, because I just read a stat, 16% of contracts fall through now. That was in the month of December.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So buyers are back.
Yeah, we'll get to buyers in a minute. Those tricky little suckers. Wendy. No, I'm in front of other people. I'm being recorded. Wendy, where are agents still using pandemic era strategies in a 2026 market?
I don't see as many agents getting to know their clients because that's so important to get to know the client. Like I went with Jeanette to a listing appointment and we got to know the client, know what their needs are, knowing what their time frame is. Where at COVID, I mean, hi, my name is Wendy. Let's go open the door.
Yeah.
And you didn't really worry because there was somebody else coming in and out, so you knew you were safe. But just really having those relationships. That's so important.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And you're the relationship. You're also into the relationship. Yep. And so you said you've had to learn even from when you started. Did you learn kind of immediately that the relationship part was the most important part?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why I joined, and started real estate, because I actually genuinely love people in a society that kind of doesn't like each other anymore. I really do. I love people. So I really enjoy my buyers where I love my listings too, but that relationship with the buyers is important to me. But to answer that question, I obviously wasn't here in 2020 to 22, but I think you guys weren't doing a lot of open houses then. So for me, coming in with no clients, the market's shifting, and I'm like, how do I get in houses? Luckily, being on a team that develops real estate, I just shoved myself into open houses. I even did my post licensing while in open houses, waiting for someone to walk in the door. So don't sleep on open houses. I build probably 90% of my business from open houses. And I think I do my open houses a little bit different. That's some tricks that might help. That's different than the way they used to.
Interesting. Okay, we'll come back to that if we have time, because we'd love to hear this. And you guys grab Nikki afterwards if we don't have time to talk about that. Who likes open houses here?
And I'm old school.
I have to make this Tammy.
Well, Tammy, I don't know how to answer for Tammy, but I have not been a fan of open houses. I've always sort of dreaded them. And I don't even know why, because I have made a lot of business off of open houses. So I do definitely see their value. And the hard thing I think people understand with open houses is it's not necessarily people that walk through that are going to buy that house, but you're collecting a database, you're collecting people who are obviously looking for a house, and that's the reason that you're there. So anyway, we'll move on to the next question because that's a different soapbox. But what mistakes are costing deals right now in Wake, Johnston, and Durham and surrounding counties? Anybody want to take that? Go ahead.
I think in this market that we're in right now is really not educating our clients, both sellers and buyers. With sellers, I can tell you all day long, it's positioning them in the market, whether it's price or condition of the house that they need to get done. Well, let's talk about buyer's agent fees, all that, wherever they need to be. That's number one. And with buyers, and the flip side of that is, again, educating them on, do you have the money? What is due diligence? The time you're going to need and all that. Because again, I think it's just educating and building the relationship. When she said that, my favorite saying when people ask me what's the favorite part of my job, and I say it's the people I meet. And then when they ask me what's the worst part of the job, it's the people I meet. So it's the same. And so, you're building relationships. So I think that's where we're falling apart is people that got in during the easy time, in my opinion, didn't learn the basics. People like I got it in a hard time and I learned the basics, phone calls, open houses and stuff. And I'm old school. So I think that's what's going to win out in this market moving forward.
I think that if you've been in, once you've been in for a while, you start to hear over and over again. Even those of you in the room who've been in the business 4 or 5 years are hearing back to basics, back to basics. You got to do the work. You got to put the time in. And there's just never going to be a substitute for that.
I think also adding to that is education and setting those expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
Buyers are wanting the world, but we need to set that expectation before we get to that.
Do you all feel like what maybe has happened a little bit? Sellers are still stuck in COVID. They still see that pricing. And in Johnson County, we have what I think has hurt us a little bit in that our new tax evaluations came out this year, right? And they're all sky high. And actually, I'm getting ready to list a house that is the tax value is 50 grand over what the market value is. And it's wrong, but it's going to be it's an uphill climb, right? To tell our clients why we're right and they're wrong. But if you list enough houses where you're listed up here and they're not selling and everybody's telling you it's overpriced, you start to get the memo. So I think education is huge. And I think, do you all feel like there's any part of this that has stopped us from being as educating as we used to be?
Yeah.
Because we don't have that book anymore, that we're the ones finding the houses. We lost a lot of the control of our jobs to this, right? Because they know it all before they come to us. So that changes things too. And I feel like we have to somehow find a way. I don't know the answer, but find a way to get back to that.
I'll say something about that really quick. And I'm going to shout out Charlene on my team because I saw her do something in the office that was really cool. Someone comes in off the street with their estimate of what their property is going to be worth, right? We've all been there. Yeah. But it was kind of cool because she didn't just say, I'll get back to you with a CMA. She didn't do any of that. She pulled out her computer and had them come out that side and sat right down and she comped that. She pulled the comp. She did all the things right in front of their face. And it was nothing like this estimate. And he was sold. He was bought in. So challenge it and say, look, this is what we do. Let me show you. And I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think people are starving for knowledge. And I think sometimes I have been guilty of assuming that they already know these things because it's all over the internet. But we are the experts, and the internet is not all knowing. It's just not. So
then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where you're texting them and they do a thumbs up, so you assume they knew what you were saying, but they have no clue what you said. They just thumbs up it. Yeah. So, but in a phone conversation, you can hear, oh, okay, let me explain it a different way. So
inflections and things like
absolutely.
That. So it is, I think that we somehow are going to have to get back to that, but we can no longer just price. Do y'all remember the days of I went during COVID, I used to say, I wish I had a dartboard that I could bring to every listing appointment. And I'm going to have all the prices in the spectrum here. And we're just going to throw a dart, wherever it lands, that's where we're going to list it, because you couldn't put a price on so many things. You just went, let's try it here. And half the time it worked. Most times it worked. So, but it's a struggle. And if anybody has does anybody out there in the audience have any tips or tricks they have used with their buyers or sellers to bring them back to reality that this is 2026, not 2020 or 21? Anybody have any tips or tricks? I'm definitely.
I just show them the MLS because you can see average list price to close price. And right now the trend is like 97%. I'll pull up, like if I have people wanting to be in Window Falls, I'll pull up the Window Falls specific and I'll show them, average list price to close price is 97% for Window Falls. And then when I do get them 4 or 5%, they're when buyer's agent compensation, so now that's 2.5% more, we look like the hero because we got them better than what the market is showing too.
Yeah, educated yourself on how to do that. The appointment I just had, she sat there and she looked right at me and she was, my neighborhood, it sells quick. And I had the graphic where no, your neighborhood is double and the numbers don't lie. And so I was able to educate her on.
Yeah.
So it's just being prepared.
Is anybody who uses numbers to back up their statement? Yeah, it's really important, and I haven't always done that, but I've recently changed my evil ways, and it's very important.
Well, one thing I want to add and I do the same thing, but I also added in my MLS comp summary is when the last time they did a price change. And I found like in this one neighborhood, all the houses that eventually sold, you saw where they had to make a price change to get it down to that.
Yeah.
So I tell because they don't see that the price changed, they just know it closed. They didn't know it started up here and then
Sure.
get down here
Right.
to get it closed. So
Yeah.
I added that into one of my fields this year, which I never had to use.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Can I add something? So in one of my listing appointments, they were very difficult, and there was a house in a neighborhood that was larger that did sell for more. So while we sat there, I had them go on because they like to use Zillow. I said, okay, let's go on Zillow. Put out my laptop. I want you to comp this out for me. I want you to show me which houses, because they're going to look at all the pictures, are comparable to yours within an area. So let's start with your neighborhood, because at the bottom will show nearby, whatever.
Yeah.
So you show me the ones that are most comparable to yours, and then let's write these numbers down, and then they could see, oh, you're spot on.
That's
So
a really
I've done
good
that because it dumbs it down for them because they don't understand MLS so much, but they've looked on Zillow and they'll look through the pictures. Do you guys have this? Do you guys have that? Look at that price, and they're like, oh.
and then you said, picture now you can be a realtor.
Yeah.
Relationship and you knew they liked Zillow, so you went to them.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else, or can we shift gears again? I don't want to run out of time. Okay. Let's switch it a little bit to buyers if we can. And I'm going to come back to Nikki. Sorry. Really sorry.
She likes you. She likes you.
I do too. I genuinely do. All right. What do experienced agents underestimate about today's triangle buyers? And let me pose it a different way. You have a buyer that you bring to an experienced agent's listing. What might they not know about what buyers feel right now? If there's an agent out there that just does listings and they're not working with buyers to see, do you have any insight what we can expect as listing agents of what the buyer's mood is right now?
Well, they're undecided. We jump through hoops for them. But I think honestly, it's just servicing them. Like this, you're having to service these buyers to the highest degree. Your communication with them, the questions you ask, and you're having to reel them in a lot because there are so many options. So it's really asking those questions and really figuring out what they want and being able to navigate that.
It very much answered the question, and it's kind of what I was looking for. Thank you. To sum it up, you have to pay attention. You have to listen.
A lot of questions.
We're no longer able to show them what we want them to see because they're not hearing it. And so we have to get sneaky though, because we still know that sometimes they're not making the right decisions, right? And we know that there's something better. So how to do that?
So I'm not the realtor that's just going to show them a few houses and expect them to make a decision. And you wanted real live examples. I just got a guy under contract yesterday who said, I'm not ready to buy until June because of my lease. And I said, I'm not the realtor that's only going to show you a few homes. Like, I think we should start now. Where are you going to be as far as price point? Do you want new construction? Do you want resale? You don't know. Let's go into a few of them. And that led us to deciding that new construction, since it is the most affordable actually right now, and they have incentives for first-time home buyers. And we wrote a little bit longer of a contract. We weren't supposed to start until June. And I got them under contract 2 days ago. And we're closing April 1st because when we close, we don't have a payment until, So
that's a good trick.
I
Does
could have
everybody know
locked
that?
him until June. He could have
She
gone
had a
somewhere.
kick-ass listing agent that made it happen.
Spontaneous register house.
I didn't want to lose them before June. And I was like, let's just get started now. I think you just have to stay in front of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what I want to kind of comment to that, because it was a June, and I know every one of you in here knows this, but with the incentives and where these new construction, even resales, I don't know about those, but with the builders and the incentives and getting creative and figuring out a way to make it happen, to move some of this move-in ready inventory
and utilizing the incentive, there's so much opportunity that buyers do not understand. And so in working with the listing agent, posing, hey, could we work with that closing date? I'm like, but then going to the builder, what can we do? How can we do it? And trying to work it, it ended up working out, and he's happy. The builder's happy. He's given what he offered, and we made it happen. So it really is just the conversations, getting like really intentional with them and being fully present, and that they know, you know what you're doing. You're going to explain it to me, and we're going to work strategically to figure out a way to make it happen.
I'm hearing so many people wanting to talk again.
Yeah,
I feel like we have not talked in so long, and I feel like we have to. And everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
That we are just, because I think that we move so quickly that we assume, I've been guilty of assuming that the other side knows that this already happened, or assumes that I did this, and I didn't clarify that. And that's really not fair. So I love all of this, because we are better when we're together, when we work together. We all have one goal, right? It's to help our clients buy or sell a home. That's it, unless you're in residential, rental, or commercial.
It's not sellers against buyers.
It's
not.
No,
It's not agent against agent.
no.
It should not be.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Throughout the COVID market, it kind of was that.
It was.
Right?
Yeah.
So I come in and I'm like, whoa. And now we all really have to work together.
Yeah. And I'm thankful for it, because we're people.
Yeah. We want everybody to be happy.
We do.
It was who had the most green during COVID.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Back to collaborating and just working together with everybody and supporting each other through all the challenging times.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. Because they're going to be out there. We all know that every transaction is going to have at least one challenge, probably multiple.
Yep.
All right. So let's turn it around and say to our veteran agent over there, what do newer agents misunderstand about longevity and skill in this market?
Well, the longevity part definitely is what she said, is you got to have relationships with your past clients, whether it's like I was telling you earlier, I touch my clients at least 4 times a year, if not 5, with phone calls, old-fashioned forward calls. That's all I do all day long. And but
Pardon the dirty, but this happened in a hurry.
oh yeah, she wrote it down.
This
You
is
do the
forward.
best birthday call.
Forward is what she's referring to right now.
LP Mama.
That's
Forward.
This one, we're not there yet. Forward right now. Forward.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of, in fact, I'm getting ready next week. I'll have a 7-time client of mine. I've just closed a 6-time client of mine. And it's because I stay in touch, and I am old school and I am old fashioned in a lot of ways. In fact, social media, I know it's a must and people need to do it. And I force myself to do it, but I'm still old fashioned. But I do make the phone calls to people, how's your family doing? Oh, you still working that job? Did you take that trip last week? Really? Do you still plan on retiring in 5 years? So I don't even talk to them about real estate ever on there. What was the second part of your question though? What was the second? I forget.
About skill, the importance.
So the important thing with skill too is, and again, I'm old school, but I still believe that it's basics, and I always continue to school myself. Like I'm always hopping on the masterminds. I'm always taking extra classes. Heck, I'm taking a notary class in 2 weeks. I'm trying to always continue my skills and stay with what's going on in the market. A lot has changed. I mean, if you just came in, the whole buyer's agency agreement to the seller with a new commission, you have to educate yourself. And I hate it. I do. I'm not going to sit here and say it's been easy. I don't like change, but you have to continue to educate yourself, or I would have been left behind years ago. So you have to keep up on the skill. And another thing I'm going to say too is, when I first started in the business, and I would look up back then we had boards, we didn't have what they have today. And I'd see all the people that were selling and I wasn't selling, and I'd see their names. I hung on the shirt tails of the top producers. I'm like, they were doing something right. So I'm going to hang around with you. And I'd ask them, can I go on a listing appointment with you? Can I go, on a physical appointment with you? I just hang on the shirt tails of the top producers and get yourself in bigger rooms.
That's really, really good advice.
Get yourself in bigger rooms.
I think there's probably not anybody at the top in this industry, right? There's not one person who knows everything about real estate.
There isn't.
That we're all learning from each other all the time. And the more that you know, the more that can share with others. So I love that because you can always find someone with more
You
experience.
talked about
than you.
mindset back like my first 10, 12 years. I didn't think I belonged in those rooms,
Mhm.
you know, and now when, gone through to separate brokerages now and stuff. And when I got into the bigger rooms, yeah, I was a small fish in there, but I grew. And so you do have to get yourself in bigger rooms and continue to educate yourself and get around the people because I'm going to tell you what another shocker to me is when I started meeting top producers, the nicest people. I mean, really, they didn't get to be where they are today without being genuine and nice and work hard. And that was another false belief I had. Like, oh, they don't have time for me. They do. They love to share. I mean, I love to share. I'll help anybody. So.
Yeah. Wendy, do you have anything that you want to add? You're over there nodding a lot. So
Hey, we just had a little team retreat thing, and I wanted to talk about finding ready, willing, and able buyers. But I called my boyfriend. Chat helped me rewrite that, and we said, "Are you an agent?"
do you know about
Who does? Yeah.
Talk to chat a lot.
Chat helped me rewrite it.
In a close relationship.
Found. Yeah. But we rewrote it. Are you an agent that is ready, willing, and able to help your client? So I was put me in my place. You have to talk about this. So we talked about that, and we talked about how I had an agent who she's inexperienced, but she did an open house, and she was ready and willing. But this turned into a potential listing of like a $600,000 listing. So she called me. So she wasn't able because she didn't have the skill set, but she surrounded herself with people who were. So that I was able to help her with that. So are you, so for new agents, are you ready, willing, and able? What are you missing? And what are you going to do to fill in that gap?
yeah, that's great. I love
that.
that.
Chad gets credit for that, but yeah, we'll share the credit with Chad, right?
Awesome. Okay, let's move on because we've talked a little bit about buyers and how to get them over the what is the term I'm looking for? I don't know. Get them off their butt.
Get them off the fence.
This is really hard, I think, for a lot of us to navigate. And I'm just going to kind of ask the question and then let whichever one of you wants to take it. Are we too afraid of being seen as pushy with our client? It's a very, very fine line that we walk, right?
When I was inexperienced, I was.
A really good point. And how did you get past that?
Putting myself in the right rooms around the right people, listening to their conversations, and then knowing, and I tell newer agents all the time, you know more than the average person.
That's right.
You could have had your license for one day, and you know more than the average person. So take pride in that and run with it. So you're not, if you really are truly putting their interests first, you're not being pushy.
Is there anybody here in their first year? Okay. So it's really hard. It's really, really hard to do that because you feel like you have nothing to offer. But I do the exact same thing because you automatically know more than they do, period. And the one thing that's hard when you're newer to understand is that you're always going to have questions. Always. I still have to call and ask questions, right? Tammy still has to call and ask somebody questions or advice. We just do because there's new things all the time. So you know that it's a question maybe that you should be able to answer, but it's perfectly okay to say, I'm not really sure, I'll get back to you on that. Because they don't know that you should know that because they don't know it. They asked you the question themselves. If they knew it, they wouldn't have asked you. So it's okay not to know. That's all I wanted to add to that. Go ahead.
Mindset, going back to what you said, because they'll tell you, even since I joined the team, my mindset has always been, even when I didn't feel it, that I am the best choice. Like I literally assume they're my client. They tell me that they don't have a realtor. It's on. You're mine until you tell me no. And I don't.
She's not lying.
I'm not lying.
Persuasion.
Well, no, I mean, you don't have one, so now you do. And I will say that. And they giggle, but I'm serious.
Yeah.
Jonathan, he's the same way.
But it
We're
works
BFF.
because they laugh and I'm like, but I'm serious. And then I figure out the ways to show them the value and they don't want to go anywhere else. And if I don't know everything, I just come ask a million questions to them.
But it doesn't work for everybody because I tried it and the person looked at me like, what? It's her gift, it's her thing. There's a persuasion with that, the way she does it. what I did, it just came out as blunt and like, oh, no, you're not.
Because one of the things that I think, especially even when you're newer, I struggled with, and I literally just got over this, you guys. I'm 20th year and I just got over it in the last year. I think we always aspire to be what we see around us, right? And it's really hard. She's got that great one-liner. You gave us a great one-liner earlier. I don't know if they're going to work for me. I might try them, I might not. But what I finally learned is that I want to work with people who like me. And I'm just going to be me. And we are going to work well together if we mesh. And if we don't, go find someone else. And I don't mean that ugly, but I won't say it that way, obviously. But it's okay if we don't want to work together. But I want to be myself, because if I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not, I'm going to do it wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned.
I think
this
the
year.
biggest thing too about not sounding pushy is I've learned, because I'm now a mom of 3 kids, so you learn, but I learned to ask a lot of questions 3D. Like when people say, well, I want to live in Clayton. Well, why Clayton? Well, because of the schools. Well, what is it about the schools that you like? You just always go 3 deep with somebody and you'll find their motivation, and then you're not sounding pushy, but you're getting the answers that you want, So, try to ask 3 deep questions and be very, and shut up. And that's a hard thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in this room has heard we have two ears and one mouth for a reason, and it is so hard. I'm up here talking, and it's your time to talk, and I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Yeah.
Uh,
That one way, without sounding pushy, but being pushy, is asking 3 deep questions.
And doesn't that go right back to communication?
Mhm.
Yeah, we got it. We got to ask, and we got to pay attention, and we got to listen.
Yeah.
That's our.
Because when people talk about themselves, they connect with you.
Yeah.
You made them feel important because they got to talk. That's just psychology. So we gotta let them talk.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, you will hear what they want to say. And something that Caitlin had a client last week who she's literally shown them 3 times their perfect house. And every time she does, they find a reason why now it's not their perfect house. So she finally sat him down, and I learned this from Kevin Shortridge. So anybody from April's team probably has heard this before. But he sits his buyers down and says, this is what to get everything they want, writes it all down and says, so if I find you this, you're going to buy it, right? And they say yes, and he has them sign it. Well, I can't quite go that far. It doesn't do my personality. But what I suggested to Caitlin is she say to these people, clearly I'm not doing a good enough job for you. So I'm not going to be able to continue to help you unless we can figure out where we're doing it wrong, because I feel like I'm failing you. So we need to regroup, and you need to tell me exactly what you want, so that I can get it for you, because I thought I had it. I found you 3 and they weren't right. So tell me where I'm wrong. And what that did is it made it, now they've hurt her, and we're back to that relationship. They love her. They don't want to hurt her. They don't realize they're doing that, but she made them regroup and think themselves about what is important and get it together. So that's a really, really good one to put in your pocket, that you've done what they've asked you to do. I don't know why I'm still failing. Help me. Because we all want to help. It's human nature, right?
Yep.
So, okay. Anything else? Does anybody out there want to add anything? Because all of you work with buyers, I think, and they're really challenging right now.
I think I'll just add, and I tell my team this too, is making everything relational, not transactional. And that covers communication, education of you, of them, of everything, and just look at it as a relational, because that is where we are back to after COVID.
Yeah.
That's
Thankfully.
Yeah. I work really hard to not calling it a transaction, but an experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
Many
that.
experiences
Yeah.
with this client. Yeah. It's not a transaction, it's an experience.
I like that.
Well, I was just going to make a comment that a lot of this is very generational. Let me give an example. My granddaughter applied for a job, and so she submitted a resume, and then didn't hear anything for weeks and weeks. And my son goes to my granddaughter and says, "Have you called to check up on see where they are?" And she says, "Oh no, that's too pushy."
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They're not taught these
Yeah.
skills.
So they're very so you've got to be very proactive. I think that was the term that was used, because older generations, they're like, "Why aren't you doing this for me?" And the younger ones are like, "I don't want to bother you," because they look at it as, "I'm bothering, I'm putting you out." And so I think that we need to understand who we're dealing with. And Justin's over there nodding his head vigorously.
Yeah, no, I love this.
Because if we don't understand the mentality of the generation, not to bring divide, but to understand them.
That's what we're here for.
That's right.
You gotta meet them where they're at.
Right. So I think that that's really important, that if we're dealing with a younger buyer who, like, I don't want to bother you with this. And they want to go look at homes on Zillow all day long and, look at real estate porn, fine. But the reality is that you're there to bring clarity and educate them. And I think that was used, pretty effectively is that, how many of you remember every sentence was started in 2020 with during these uncertain times? So what was our job in 2020? Bring certainty. Well, now we're bringing clarity because there's so much noise in the marketplace that we're like cut through the chase and cut through the sound bites and get to the point of how you figure out how to help people.
Oh, that is so refreshing.
It's getting them to trust you too. So
Yeah.
most mornings between 8 and 10 a.m. is my cares call. I call everyone, and even if I run out, I'll start back over. And I'll just call to love on them, touch on them, see how they're doing. If someone had a baby, just a grandbaby, whatever. I follow them on social media. So I might not spend the entire 2 hours doing it because I'm to a point where I'm running out of call and I need to find more people. But it's building those relationships because when we have times like we have now where there is still uncertainty and they still need clarity and there's still polarization in the media about everything. And none of, even as realtors or anybody that I speak to out in the public, people don't feel settled with anything. We feel anxious about, we don't even know what about. And so having that person you can trust also give you sound advice it goes a long way in this world right now.
Yeah. And I think it's really hard when we only have bad news to deliver. That's really hard. Or like your buyers that are struggling and you just get to a point where they're frozen and you freeze because you don't know what to do about it. And I think all we're talking about is getting back in details and talk about it, figure out what the issues are so that we can get through them. Because that's something else that AI can't do, but I'll get off that soapbox too. So, okay. Anybody else? Did you want to add to that? Because you're emphatically nodding. You just want to support it.
Just to wrap a bow on this, my granddaughter did call and she got the job.
Excellent.
She like, because they got through her resume. Like, he was assertive. Yeah, she's like, you know what? I'm gonna call them and figure out, how I get first in line.
How old is she now? How old is she?
So she's 18. I'm getting her first part-time job.
Good for her. Yeah, that's fantastic. I expected you
See,
to
and they
get her.
probably saw that and
They
said,
admired
hey,
it.
this girl is being assertive, and that's what we want. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's gonna put her up in the top.
She went above and beyond. So as agents, we've got to find something that.
Making the phone call.
I mean, that would
Right.
that would
How are you doing? How's the baby?
You're not gonna have a lead that comes in.
That, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I when we had our house on the market, we took it off the market so then it became a withdrawal or expire, whatever it was. And not one single agent called me. I got text messages. One little young guy, you could tell he was so nervous. I let him go through his whole spiel. Wanted to list my house, and I congratulated, told him he's the only agent out of 150 who picked up the phone to call me. And if I weren't a realtor, I would have hired him. So just picking up the phone. Yeah.
I'm very curious how many of you choose phone call over text message or email
All day.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everything that's honesty out there. I really do. I really appreciate your honesty, but I'm here to tell you that the phone call is the way to go. As hard and painful as it is,
You get
it's the way
you
to
get
go.
the vibe of the call. Like a lot of times I want to send a text. I'm like, this sounds so brash. And I don't want to say it this way.
You have inflections in your voice and you have a tone in your voice that
I
makes
even sent
you.
an emails on a response to the DR. I mean, I'll call you to like, look, we're going to send this over. I just want you to know that, blah, 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 and I'm going to send it. But I always have that personal conversation because I can't stand just get an email and it just sounds so brash.
Yeah, and there's
Taken out of context.
Yeah, right.
taken out of context, and there's no inflection. You don't know if somebody's like. I could say, it's a great day, or I can say a great day.
Yeah.
And they mean two totally different things. And when you put that in writing only, nobody knows what you mean. So this is very important.
I think Justin has something.
I disagree with the phone call because you have to know where your people are. I always ask, what's your preferred method? So if I didn't sell real estate, my first call to like help for someone help me buy my first house would have been April. But like April, same way of like text her. If I were like to be a buyer, do not call me, text me. And so I have to know who I'm working with. People my age, they want a text. But some of my older clients, if I texted them, I won't hear from them for 3 or 4 days and be like, I'm so sorry. And some of them go on the most random side quests. Like, sorry, we've been deep sea fishing in the Caribbean for 4 days. Like, you should have called us. And I'm like, my dream. But like you have to know where your people are, I think.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about a cold lead though, you don't know who that person is, how old they are, anything like that. I have a question for you who is a young one. Would you prefer, because my typical course of action would be pick up the phone and call them. If they don't answer and there's a voicemail, I will leave a message and then I'll immediately text them and say who I am and that I left you a voicemail and why I called.
Right.
Is that acceptable to someone in your age group?
For people my age, they're not gonna answer, so you're gonna have to.
But is it okay that I tried?
Anyways. Yeah, I think it's okay. When I get a new lead, I text and say, hey, it's so and so. This person sent me your info, or this is how I got your info, whatever. Is there a good time I can give you a call? Everything is always leading to a call.
Yeah.
But like because like especially for some of my clients that work at Novo Nordisk or whatever, they can't have their phones, or they can, but they can't call. They're like, call me at 12 or whatever. And I set up that way. But like for the most part, I'm sending a text saying, hey, it's such and such. If I don't hear from them in 24 hours, then the next day I'm going to text them again. If I don't hear from them for 24 hours, I'm going to call.
Here's just a real quick comment on top of that. Most of us, including myself, if I don't know your number, I'm not answering your phone.
Yeah.
And so I think that, again, kind of knowing who it is you're talking to, like throw them into Forewarn, throw them into AI or whatever to figure out how old they are, what's their situation, kind of know the basics about it before you like grab the phone and call them. But do a little recon ahead of time. Because if they're 77 years old and they're a grandma, you better freaking call them because they don't want to use words. They want to talk to you.
Yeah.
They don't want to text you. In fact, they probably have a landline still.
You better set aside an hour and a half too.
That's the point, is that know who it is you're talking to, and then if you can't figure that out, then go hunt and say, okay, what's your preferred method of communication?
Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I did an experiment a little over a year ago with my team when I was trying to encourage myself to make more phone calls and them. So it was a Tuesday morning before team meeting, and I called everybody on the team. I called every agent. And one of the agents had just joined the team and she was with her husband. He goes, that's why you joined that team. So it does, but again, knowing who your audience was, and I knew my agents would answer.
And at the end of the day, we're all independents.
Absolutely.
So you're going to do what works best for you, and that's perfectly acceptable. But I was simply trying to point out that I do think that there is a time for a phone call.
Sure.
And I think you have to do at least 2 of the 3 at first contact personally, because you don't know, but just a text may not get the answer of what's their preferred method. So I'm going to try the other ones anyway. So, but anyway, thanks everybody. All right. We are running out of time. So I just want to finish with, I love this question. And I don't know, it might be too hard, and I don't even know how relevant it is to what we've been talking about, but I just think it's such a cool question to ask a panel. So I'm going to ask each of you individually. We'll start with Wendy. If you were starting your career today or starting over, what would you focus on first and what would you ignore completely?
Focus on first would be just talking to anybody and everybody, getting to know as many people as possible, putting myself in the right rooms, with more experienced agents, networking, doing the open houses, just being where the people are is doing more of that.
And what would you forget entirely? Ignore it completely.
It's not different things work for different people.
Fair enough.
So like I'm not a door knocker, but I do it. Not my favorite. So I lean more towards another thing. So I that one's a tough one.
But you don't have to answer it. Would you like to answer first?
Well, I feel like I really just did
Yeah.
this. However, if I would go back and change anything, I don't think I would change much though, because I already was in a room with phenomenal top agents. Like that's scary, but I was already there and I'm stubborn. So I asked a million questions and I threw myself into an open house. I guess, I don't know, Char was telling something. Is there something you think?
Ignore the negativity. Ignore the noise.
What about good one?
Do that. You know me, I'll just go hide.
No, that's why you didn't think of it. But not everybody is that way, because we do have to ignore the negativity. It's everywhere.
But I'm also probably one of the most positive humans on the
Me too.
planet, stupidly, and
Me
it's
too.
irritating
Me
to
too.
people.
Me too.
So
But that's why I appreciate that, because I think we naturally ignore the negative.
Yeah.
Like I don't watch news. I haven't watched news
I
in
don't
10
either.
years.
Never.
It's on in the morning. My husband's like, I say, what's the weather? He's like, it's been on for 30 minutes. You mean you weren't listening? I'm like, nope. It's gone. It's too depressing and ugly. I don't want it
near me for. I can only be there for a minute before I exit. I can't. It feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, the same way. But anyway, it is very good because it's a lot. There's a lot of it out there, and it can weigh on us. So I love that one. I really
Well,
do.
and
Thank you.
maybe also like not knowing that I don't have to do things the way everyone else did. Take
Mhm.
those strengths and those really cool things, but I think I wasn't brave enough to know that I can just do it my way.
Yeah.
And it was going to be okay until a little bit later. So
For you.
I think I can answer the other one is I didn't feel like I deserved to be in certain rooms in the beginning.
Yeah, none of
I
us do.
really didn't.
And I will say that there's even
So.
still rooms that I sometimes feel like I don't belong in, and that's
But you do.
but I don't in here and
Right.
here. And so that's what we have to. We're always. I'm telling you that because 20 years in, I still feel that way. Are you ever uncomfortable in an environment? Right. So I'm telling all of you that are still new, that still have these feelings, you're going to have them always, and it's okay.
The most discomfort, that's when you grow.
That's what I was about to say. That's how we grow. We have to get ourselves uncomfortable, put ourselves in these situations, and that's how we learn.
And to add to that, this just what I'm about to say is the first time I've actually said it in public, so it's a little uncomfortable, but I had a very successful year last year. I did 9.2 million and top producer on the team.
Love it.
But yet I was petrified to walk in here thinking I'm not sure if I have any value to bring anybody. Does that
And how do
make
you
sense?
feel now?
I still feel a little nervous.
No.
But I only said that to prove
Yeah.
your point that you
Mhm.
can do really well and still feel like, oh, what am I doing in this room?
Yeah. It doesn't matter how long you've been in this business. It really doesn't. It matters what's in here and how much energy you want to give it to me, because I think anybody can do this, but you have to have the right motivation, the right heart, and the right drive. And you have to have a little bit of intelligence, but you couldn't have passed the test if you didn't have the intelligence part. So, I will close this out with Amie. Would you like to?
Yeah, I would say right now, really, well, learn the basics, number one, in this business, first of all. And educate yourself and get into the bigger rooms earlier, which I did not do. And the other thing, I try to do everything. Like I would watch people get in luxury and first-time home buyers and investments and this and that. Find your niche.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to make money in this business, whatever you feel comfortable in. I feel comfortable with first-time home buyers. I've never gotten a luxury. Just find your niche. Don't try to do all of it all at once either, because it's too much, like you said, too much noise. But I definitely think getting the basics and getting in. I didn't get in the rooms the first 12 years. I stayed back and watched it. And don't compare yourself. I'm the same person as Tammy or whoever else has been as long. We're very different people. I gravitate towards different clients.
Yeah.
She has different clientele, So I would tell everybody that advice.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Well, thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody got a nugget or two. We are, there was something you were talking about. Oh, finding your niche. We're also developing a class on that. I think some of you might know Caitlin Jackson, who is my teammate.
Yeah.
And she has a niche that everybody knows about. If you know her, you know her niche, because she blasts it everywhere. And it's a very obvious and different
What did I
niche.
say? I said she's very
I just said different.
No, I didn't. I said
She's probably watching Vibrant. That was it. Vibrant. Yeah. And she is. And she actually, just so that you guys all know, she's on my team. She's very young, and she's the one who taught me that I don't have to be like everybody else. Believe it or not, in my 19th year, I finally went, oh crap, she's out here doing this in costume. And I have all this experience. Why am I not her? Right. And so, but she and I are working on a class to physically draw your niche out of you and try to help us find a niche, because it's important. Because when we're aligned, I went to one of her Geek and Grub shows with her. And you can put me just about, it's called Geek and Grub. Okay. When she first asked me if she could do this, she told me about this festival, and I said, get there. And we bought her the whole year. And she went once a month. She still goes every month to this festival called Geek and Grub. And it's people just like her that are geeks, and they call themselves geeks and nerds, and they go and they eat and they check out everybody's booths, and it's that. She's gotten 70% of her business from her niche, from those events. I love that. But when I went with her, I've only been once. I'm ashamed to say, life happened. A lot of life happened in the last couple of years, but I went with her once, and I'm telling you, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, as you can tell. But I stood there watching her talk to all of her people, and I had nothing to say. I was completely a fish out of water, because this was not my expertise, my niche, my comfort. And I didn't talk to people. I let Caitlin talk to every potential client, because I was like, this is your environment. Go, girl. But that's what the point is, that we all have that place where we fit in, and I want to help everybody find it. So I'm offering.
Yeah. Well, that's how you.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And it's good to see all of you.